All right, happy Tuesday, everyone. Just to let you know, I'm really excited about it. I'm on YouTube now as well. Slow and steady, as they say. And I'm also working on the graphic presentation and improving in the audio output. And I'm thinking of another short form project. It's difficult to run a one-man podcast, but you know what? I totally enjoy it. And in this episode, I have to say what I was enjoying the most was I have seen some of the craziest ant scenes so far, which were shot on with a CMOS camera. So let me just begin with saying there's a really funny story. I think it was in 2003. Right, and it was when I attended a science fiction convention in Zagreb, and you see all kind of people at conventions, generally the unorthodox kind, right? So I met with a stranger at a conference and later found it was George R. Martin himself, and I couldn't even connect his name with one of my favorite short stories from when I was very young teenager. Actually, it's not a short story, it's a novelette, I think, Sand Kings. And the story today is not about Martin or Game of Thrones. It's just when I think of ants, I always think of the short story I read when I was 12. Together with the borderline blasphemous The Way of Cross and Dragon by the same author. And novelette Sand Kings delves into a world in which advanced civilization have their own pet civilizations, similar to how people have pet ant colonies. These animals, known as sand kings, are more sentient than ants, susceptible to adversity and blessings as an art form. They build castles, fight wars, and decorate their structures with images resembling their owner's face. The narrative unfolds with themes of power dynamics, cruelty, and the consequences of playing God over lesser beings. Yes, ants are no doubt most fascinating living things. And if you're all about to scream bugs while waving your oversized Morita Mk1, a Federal Service Mobile Infantry assault rifle like in the famous Starship Troopers movie, stop crying over Buenos Aires annihilation. Gauchos will be just fine. Even better, they will invade us, because if you didn't know, Argentinian ants are already in Canada. And no, Brazilian and Argentine ants are not the same, just like the football teams, right? So, Argentine ants, scientifically known as Linepithema humile, are native to northern Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and southern Brazil. And Brazil is home to a diverse array of ant species with over 1,500 known species and subspecies, including both endemic and introduced varieties. So, Argentinian ants are in British Columbia since 2012, the same year I moved to the Great White North. Because of the global warming, it's probably gonna get worse in the not so distant future. And how did they ended up here, you ask? Well, they made their way up to Canada, specifically Victoria, British Columbia, likely through human activities such as the transportation of plants or plant material from California. The proliferation of Argentine ants in Canada is a worry due to their competition with other species and their potential impact on agricultural crops and gardens by boosting aphid populations and outcompeting indigenous ant species for food and habitat. Maybe they can survive in a mild Victoria weather, but here in Ontario or elsewhere, I don't want to even mention other provinces in Canada, I seriously doubt it. So, in case you didn't know, entomology is the study of insects and myrmecology is the scientific study of ants, including their interactions with humans, the environment, and other organisms. This field includes biology, agriculture, environmental science, and forensics. The study of insects is critical for understanding ecosystems and how they function. Insects outnumber all other life forms combined and have a significant impact on human health, the economy, and food supply. We're going to come to the food supply later on. Entomology has a long history that includes early allusions to the usage of insects in everyday life. Okay, so in stories and movies, I think that's important. I know you're going to say like, oh, why is this guy always talking about stories, movies, myths, and, I think it's important. It's important for you to know the background. So, no narrative is more well known than La Fontaine's fable, The Grasshopper and the Ant, in which the grasshopper sings in the summer but becomes troubled in the winter, forcing him to seek help from the ants. The ant, being insensitive, refused to lend food, highlighting the difference between the two insects. Which I have to be honest, kind of reminds me of some people that I know. You know what I mean? Anyways, La Fontaine's work has lasted the test of time, conveying moral lessons about preparation, hard labor, and compassion via a timeless story. And in 1905, it was also famous science fiction author, remember the War of the Worlds? That guy, A.G. Wells, he wrote a short story about intelligent ants in South America that are destroying settlements and threatening human civilization. I never read that one, but now it's on my list, so I will do that in the future, I promise. So, while the movies are many, and I'll name just the few most influential work, including some Coldest War era classics like Them. Yes, Them, which is a 1954 American monochrome science fiction monster movie. And it's a true Cold War classic, one of the first of the 50s nuclear monster films when Americans are killing like the Soviets, and the first big buck feature film. So speaking of Cold War angst, there is an animated superhero created from 1965, Adam Costard in the Atom Man Secret Squirrel show, The Ant-Man. Is that the same thing? I don't know. Maybe I missed it. So anyways, in 2015, Ant-Man leapt from comics to the big screen featuring Paul Rudd. And my favorite, no big surprise there, because I grew up watching Maya the Honeybee or Mitsubachi Maya no Boken, a 1975 Japanese animated series based on a German book. And there was this ant guy, he's Paul, the ant colonel. Of course, we all stereotype, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we should start, like, apologizing to insects and animals for how we anthropomorphize, blah, I can't pronounce it. Anyways, so he's an ant colonel who helps Maya and her friends to defeat the enemies. And according to contemporary Maya's wiki page, he dislikes predators and mission failure. No big surprise there. Like in Maya to the Rescue, he helped Maya and Willie to save Max from Blue Tit, whatever it is. Finally, I remember Ants from 1998 and terrible General Mandible's speech when you have this go marching scene that might give you the goosebumps, but it's a sad reality for the ants because they can die in so many ways and in enormous numbers. It's not funny at all. And games, of course. Do you want to control your own colony? Well, Cement features black ants fighting against red ants in a suburban backyard battlefield. It won the Cody Award for Best Simulation Program in 1992. Okay, I have to explore this one as well. This sounds like a Panzer General or StarCraft. No, sounds totally like StarCraft. I have to see what it is. Alright, so in mythology, you can understand the deep cultural connection of people and ants. In Japanese, compelling Japanese folktale, the dream of Akinosuke, which is about Miyata Akinosuke, a Goshi living in Yamato province. In this dream, Akinosuke sees a grand parade led by a vassal of the king of Tokoyo, who invites him to his palace. Akinosuke reluctantly agrees to join the palace carriage, but wakes up under a cedar tree in his yard, confused by the vividness of his dream. This narrative, as translated by Lafcadio Hearn, explores themes of dreams, illusions, and the magical link between insects and human. So, through its tale, The Dream of Akinosuke explores the boundary between reality and fiction, leaving readers wondering about the nature of dreams and their impact on one's view of the world. Then, in Greek legend, the Myrmidons were a group of people created by Zeus from ants to populate an island. In Greek mythology, the Myrmidons were a fabled squad of formidable soldiers led by Achilles during the Trojan War. Zeus created the Myrmidons from an ant colony in order to repopulate the island of Aegina following a disastrous plague. King Aeacus, I don't know, of Aegina pleaded to Zeus for subjects, and in answer, the ants changed into humans, becoming the Myrmidons. The name Myrmidon comes from the Greek word for ant, indicating their origins. So these soldiers were well known for their loyalty and valor, and they played an important role in the Trojan War. The Myrmidons were fiercely loyal to their masters, and originally Achilles and later Neoptolemus following Achilles' death. Today, the term Myrmidon is used to describe an individual who carries out commands faithfully regardless of their nature. They were known for the industry, thrift, and endurance, characteristics attributed to ants. In ancient Greek mythology, the Indian ant, Myrmex indicus, was an aggressive, fox-sized ant species of ant guarding rich deposits of gold in the Indian desert. So yeah, the Talmudic literature delves more into the ethical and educational aspects of ants, emphasizing the need of diligence, preparation for the future, and the use of intelligence in various facets of life. And in Quran, the 27th chapter, so the whole chapter is called the ant. In verse 18, an ant told the colony to seek shelter so they won't be crushed by Solomon. And of course, my favorite, how can I miss that? The Bible phrases ants and little but clever creatures that work together to meticulously save food during the summer, allowing them to survive the winter. This totally sounds like a La Fontaine, And okay, in Native American mythology, some southwestern tribes like the Hopi, Pueblo, and Aquimelora Pima have ant clans, reflecting the significance of ants in their cultural beliefs. According to Hopi Indian legend, the ancient world was destroyed by fire and ice. This kind of reminds me of George Martin, but I don't know where did he get his inspiration from. Anyways, so their ancestors survived thanks to the ant people who sheltered them in underground caves. Africa, this is really interesting. In my humble opinion, this is the most interesting part. In African mythology, after Bumba created the world, his son Yone Ngana tried to make ants. However, the effort drained his life. Grateful ants continued to dig the earth to give him a proper burial. And finally, let's conclude the storytelling with... let's conclude it with heraldry. The emmet, sometimes known as the pismire or pismire, I really don't know how to pronounce it, is a heraldic charge in European heraldry, primarily in English, French, Swedish, German, and Estonian heraldry. That represents historical names for the ants. The emmet can be seen as a symbol of hard effort and knowledge, although symbolism in heraldry must always be treated with caution, as the arms might be canting of or the symbolism might not apply in the specific circumstance. According to John Gillam of the English College of Arms, a display of heraldry, the emmet of Pismire represent a person with much labor, wisdom, and providence in their affairs, as well as pregnant and ready memory. So who are the ants, you are asking yourself? And I'm going to tell you, ants are mighty. They're mighty. They're masters of logistics, and they're everywhere. But Antarctica. Isn't it funny? Antarctica? Well, we'll come back to ant supply chain management in a minute, but let's firstly say, did you know that a single acre of Amazon rainforest might be home to 3 million ants? This is like freaking crazy, but that's why they have adversaries. Like, they have powerful enemies, and they're on each and every corner. These poor little creatures are fighting and struggling every day. So let's just mention a few things that stands in between ants' long and happy life. First, they're assassin bugs. Yeah, you heard me right. Assassin bugs. It totally sounds like some like a video game, right? Listen, sometimes the assassin bugs, sometimes lying in wait, assassin bugs are known to stalk their targets using stealthy moves, lightning fast speed, and an element of surprise. Once they pounce on their prey, they stab them and release a paralyzing toxin that overcomes and kills the victim. And if that wasn't gruesome enough, listen to this. Then they suck their prey's liquefied innards through their straw-like mouthparts. Then their ant mugging flies, fly larvae, preying on fire ants who don't seem to be so almighty after all, right? I mean, like, you can be a fire ant, but like you also have there's somebody on the other side is going to kill you. And also Alcon blue butterflies who manipulate ants with pheromones. They trick ants into nursing them. Listen, this is crazy. It can even, and the thing can even mimic the sound of the queen to get more attention. Like, okay, pet me some more, give me a cheeseburger. You know what I mean? Like, ants afflicted with the parasite fungus cordyceps lose control of their minds, climb plants, clamp themselves, and die immediately. After a while, harmful spores will blossom from the head and drift down to produce more. And listen, for an ant, life is beep, then they die. What are we complaining about? You know what I mean? So the term ant, like, is derived from the old Germanic, I can't pronounce this. What is this? Anyways, which means the biter. While over 1,300 ant species have been identified, scientists believe that there could be up to 20,000 species worldwide. While ants might resemble termites, they belong to a completely different group. I mean, not completely, they look alike, but they are not, so blah, blah, blah. Anyways, meanwhile, ants can get closer to bees and wasps. Ants are little in size, yet they're extremely numerous. Like, there are a lot of them. If you gather all terrestrial animals and weigh them, you discover that ants account for 15 to 25 of total biomass, and which is crazy. So generally, the ants are eusocial insects, which is 5% of the insect species. Like termites and wasps and bees are other eusocial insects, and being eusocial is the most important element in the animal kingdom. Listen, queen doesn't rule, she's just popping eggs. It's almost a hive mind, no great hierarchy there. Still, they function well. Not only well, they function amazingly well. They manage things like we do, make waste dumps, and when they're dead, all the castes end up on the same pile, just like us. You're equally dead, regardless of who you were when alive. Anyways, I'm pretty sure with this introduction it's already clear that here we are talking about super organized society. And according to Harvard DNA studies, ants appeared 140 to 168 million years ago, then diversified 100 million years ago with the rise of flowering plants. And the famous biologist E.O. Wilson estimates that the total number of living ants today is between 1 and 10 quadrillion. I don't even know what that means, quadrillion. I honest to God, like, which equates to roughly 1 million ants per human. If this is correct, the total biomass of ants and humans is roughly equal. In 2016, paleontologists in Myanmar discovered a 99 million year old fossil of a feathered dinosaur tail with ancient ants preserved in amber. So you have to know, most ants, if you didn't know that, I was surprised actually to hear this, because I always thought like ants have okay vision, but most ants have blurred vision. But their two complex eyes are excellent for detecting motion. Queens and males have 3 extra light-sensing eyes on their foreheads. Ants produce their own medicine also. They produce antibiotic fluid which inhibits fungi and bacteria from forming on their exoskeletons and in their nests. The 2 antennae function as a single sensor. I guess it's a stereo antennae. These sensors can detect vibrations, air currents, chemicals, and touch. They're ideal for both short and long-range communication. Ants might be little, but yet they contain 250,000 brain cells. Hey, listen, this is some serious stuff. They're commonly regarded as the brightest insect due to their complex social structure, rapid adaptation, and exceptional abilities. Almost all ants you see are female. This includes all of the employees, troops, and of course, queens. And also, ants are omnivorous, so they're like us and bears. They're gonna eat anything out of the trash can, right? So most species are very innocuous, feeding on dead animals, rotten fruits, and household waste. And predatory ants can overpower small animals with their terrible stings. Some huge juvenile worker ants might serve as living food storage tanks. They are fed till their stomachs are inflated. So if these ants are removed from the colony, other ants will grow larger to replace them. And ants are creatures of habit, don't forget about that. They adhere to regular work shifts, sleep patterns, and mealtime, just like us. It's reasonable to assume that colonies function as very efficient mega companies, right? So you think slave raiding is restricted to humans? Think again. Some ants steal another ant species' brood to expand their colony's population. Alternative names include pirate ants and kidnapper ants. Inquilin ants are also social parasites, though not by enslavement. The queen enters the host colony, lays eggs, and stays there for a while. Benefits include free food and daycare, and who doesn't like that, right? Free food and daycare. Humans are not the first farmers on Earth. Just to be honest, ants have been harvesting fungi in South America for 60 million years before humans arrived. That's a lot of time. So what about if you want to get rid of them? Well, coffee, pepper, vinegar, citrus, all those strong odors can be used to cover scent trails. These will confuse the ants and keep them from returning to the nest. Ants can withstand 5,000 times their own weight due to their lightweight body, strong neck, and robust exoskeleton. I can totally imagine like an ant on a bench press, like a bench pressing a jumbo jet, like no problema, bro. Look at this. Also, some ants, I don't know if this is about all the ants, but like I know that red ants, they might escape floods by floating on the water surface. If they go underwater, they can wait for the water to dry before breathing again through their exoskeleton. And some ants, they're very compassionate, like good guys, right? Some ants return their wounded soldiers to the nest for care, typically by licking the wounds. This may lower the risk of infection due to the so-called antimicrobial enzymes, whatever that is. Soldiers ants form platoons for combat. They also have lookouts for alert the colony to potential threats, allowing workers to hide the larvae while protecting the queen. Other soldiers at the same time rush to assist where the signal originated. And don't forget, ant colonies can be as small as few hundred or as large as millions. Like multiple colonies might combine to generate super colonies with billions of workers spread across thousands of miles. And colonies behave as a single super organism with everyone working together to survive. They process information and solve difficult problems collectively, such as a nest size selection. And without a queen, laborers will have no replacement. the colony will slowly disintegrate and perish. That's why everyone wants to protect the queen. And there are also like you can get like the ultimate chick fight in colonies with several queens, and that's especially the case like when it comes to super colonies. Workers with opposing allegiance might engage in conflicts. When the queen detects an attack, she might restrict egg production to save energy and defend herself. So yeah, ants are devoted to their colony, yet can be aggressive towards others. Competition for food can lead to aggressiveness. Therefore, territorial boundaries are established to prevent battles. And here comes my favorite part, logistics, because if it wasn't for the ants, we would never know anything about the supply chain. So, okay, I'll tell you a story. It was a beautiful summer day, and you spread your blanket on the grass covering a sweet meadow. Now, if you have ever let a juicy sandwich, you know what I'm talking about, like bacon and cheese and tomatoes and salad, it's all dripping. If you ever did that in the ant territory, you know exactly what is going to happen. And it doesn't even have to be outside. I had them in a high-rise not so long ago. Well, this is how it works. The wandering scavenging ant, who acts as a reconnaissance, spots your treasure and taps his buttocks to the ground, giving his brigade, division, or whatever you want to call the military unit, a pheromone signal for grouping towards where the precious resource, a destination for the blitz supply chain, is. When foraging, ants leave a scent trail to help them find their way back, and it also helps other employees stay on track. That is why you see them following in a line rather than going all over the wall. While workers are taking care of logistics, soldiers, ants patrol the perimeter at the same time, giving no chance to the intruders. And listen, the queen is hungry, and there is tens of thousands of eggs to take care on a daily basis for her. That's a freaking hard work. And as I have said, if ants has mastered anything, it is a supply chain management. They are the masters of logistics. And observing how ants organize their activities, such as forming groups for shared resources and creating hubs to promote faster flow of commodities, we can learn to improve the efficiency, simplicity, and collaboration within supply chains. Ants' capacity to adapt and evolve without central authority by adhering to local rules can inspire more innovative approaches to structuring supply networks that respond to changing demands and conditions. Some specific supply chain principles that can be learned from ants include decentralized decision-making, then efficient resource allocation, adaptive strategies like community collaboration and systematic processes. And to address challenges, ants employ several tactics: efficient division of labor, collaborative approach, and adaptive resource allocation. So, if you didn't know, ant colony optimization software is used by Air Liquide, or in French, this because it's a French company, so Air Liquide, I guess, which supplies gases and services to find the optimal way to provide for their customers, which in a way resembles the results of the research on a mold. And the Tokyo subway system reveals fascinating insights into how a brainless, single-celled organism can create efficient networks similar to complex human design systems. And remember the slime experiment? When presented with old flakes arranged like Japanese cities around Tokyo, the slime constructs nutrient channeling tubes resembling the layout of the Tokyo rail system. So what I'm saying here is, if the pretty much brainless, slimy mole can do it, why not ants, who are among the most intelligent insects? And we're always underestimating these wonderful tiny little creatures. Well, this is where the ASCL comes in. It is the Advanced Space Concept Laboratory, which is a cutting-edge research unit focused on exploring and leading research in advanced space concepts and technologies at the University of Strathclyde or Strathclyde. I really don't know how to pronounce that. And the research is led by Professor Massimiliano Vasile, who is the lab engaged in research areas such as spaceflight mechanics, guidance, navigation, and control, so-called GNC. And that reminds me of my protein shake, like a store. Anyways, autonomy and space systems to address the challenges of future space missions. The lab encompasses key areas such as spaceflight mechanics, guidance, navigation, control. I already said that. Blah, blah, blah. The ACCL collaborates with entities like the European Commission, the European Space Agency, with inspired algorithms for trajectory planning and control in space missions, and the UK Space Agency as well. So ESA, or ESAA, has explored the application of ant colony optimization, or ACO, in projects like solar sailing. ACO is a meta-heuristic algorithm inspired by the foraging behavior of ants that can be used to optimize complex problems. So in this context, the ESA or ESA, European Space Agency, has considered utilizing ACO for tasks related to solar sailing and expanding the user-defined algorithm based on ant colony principles. If you, for instance, send a spaceship through a field of the planet at precisely the right angle, it acts like a catapult, propelling the spacecraft across the solar system. And this is called a slingshot, and by using more than one planet, it's possible to slingshot across the solar system without a need of tons of fuel. But calculating the best combination of slingshots is extremely complicated, so they ask digital ants to tell them the best possible sequence of planets to reach the destination. But unlike in Air Liquid traveling salesman problem, the scenario here is more complex. It's because the cities are moving, because the planets are moving. The method is still new, I have to say, but you know what? It has been tested on Cassini probe already, so it's only going to get better. And okay, let's talk about a specialist in field. There is a David A. Grimaldi, who is a prominent entomologist known for his work on ants, particularly through the study of ancient ant specimens preserved in Burmese amber from the mid-Cretaceous period. Grimaldi, who serves as the curator of invertebrate zoology at the American Museum of Natural History in New York, has contributed significantly to the understanding of ant evolution and diversity. Grimaldi's research includes the discovery and description of new ant species from Burmese amber, shedding light on the evolutionary history of these insects. His work has been published in scientific journals like Zootaxa. So the new collection of ant specimens discovered by David A. Grimaldi holds significant scientific value due to its contribution to the understanding of ant evolution and diversity. This collection consists of 24 wingless ant specimens preserved in mid-Cretaceous Burmese amber. And I think I already said that. Why am I keep repeating myself? Anyways, so as a fantastic British broadcaster and naturalist, Sir David Attenborough, you know, who doesn't know David Attenborough? This guy is a legend. He served in the Royal Navy during his national service in 1947. He was stationed in North Wales and then famous Firth of Forth in Scotland. And this experience was part of his early life before he embarked on his remarkable career as a broadcaster, biologist, natural historian, and author who inspired many generations, including me, and possesses extensive knowledge of the flora and wildlife of the Canadian wilderness. Remember this? So Canada, there you go. He points out, among the colonies, cooperation is rare and warfare is common. Well, their war is chemical. It's formic acid. If you get bitten, and if you're an ant, it will totally, it's just not going to be very good for you. So David Attenborough also said wood ants live in one of the highly organized and complex like insect societies. They fight wars over territory, they hunt in packs and fight other species. They build complex homes with central heating, they produce their own medicine. So another one, and probably someone you can call the king of ants, it's Edward O. Wilson. He's a prominent figure in the field of myrmecology. And Wilson's expertise in ants is unparalleled, making him a world authority on the subject. His work extends beyond ants to broader topics like conservation and environmental issues. So Wilson's career has been marked by significant contributions to science, including his research on ant communication through pheromones and the development of the field of chemical ecology. He has authored numerous influential works such as The Ants, The Diversity of Life, and The Superorganism. And Wilson's academic journey includes earning a bachelor degree in biology from the University of Alabama, followed by a master's degree and PhD from Harvard University. He passed in 2021, unfortunately, and his contribution to the field of sociobiology, which he was accused of, theory of island, biogeography, concepts of biophilia, education, his life wasn't really smooth, if you know what I mean. But again, he was the only. He got a PhD from Harvard University, earlier attended the University of Alabama. I already said that. Also, he's a 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, Crawford Prize, National Media of Science, and I cannot recommend you enough to watch his documentaries about the true emperors of the earth, ants. So when it comes to ants, the mating thing is the mating season, whatever you want to call it. This is really interesting because after rain, hundreds of flying ants from various nests fly together to mate, often traveling considerable distances to do so. Queens and males are the only winged ants, as they must fly during the aerial mating ritual. After flying, so this lifetime supply enables queens to focus solely on egg laying and forget about men forever. Queen ants lay eggs as if it was their work. They can lay 300,000 eggs in few days, which is freaking bonkers. The sticky surface allows workers to carry numerous eggs at once, which is useful during nest assault. Eggs hatch into worm-like larvae with heads and mouths. Workers feed them in place by regurgitating liquid. Late-stage larvae might consume seeds, fragments of prey, and unfertilized eggs. Larvae developed into pupae, which might or might not be encased in a cocoon. They sleep and restructure before waking up fully formed, and pupa begins of white but darkens over time. Hormones, diet, and heredity can all influence an ant's status in the colony, worker, queen, or male. And small genetic changes can also affect whether a colony has one or more queens, which can number in hundreds. So the transportation from egg to adulthood takes weeks or months. After then, adult ants live longer than other insects, with workers lasting 1 to 3 years and queens living up to 30 years. Yeah, so let's talk about types of ants. They're fire ants or thief ants. When you push them under the water, they retain a pocket of air. So adult black garden ants, pharaoh ants, carpenter ants, ghost ants, sugar ant, harvester ant, needle ant. The yellow crazy ant is famous, and I know you all know about a crazy yellow ant. And there's an acrobat ant, pyramid ant, field ant, velvet ants. And in June, only those with wings will mate, and male are nothing more than an insemination devices, and they die of exhaustion after what they have to do, which is sad in a way, but it's a man's world. The ancient one, Titanomira or Titanomyrma is an extinct giant and lived during the Eocene epoch approximately 47 million years ago. And that was a long time. People always they're speculating, okay, what about our human-sized ants? No, they will never survive. Human-sized ants would face insurmountable challenges due to the limitations of scaling up biological systems. If an ant were the size of a human, it would not be able to function effectively. It wouldn't be able to function at all. Here's why. Oxygen supply. Ants rely on spiracles to collect oxygen, which is sufficient for the small size, which is okay when you're a 2 millimeters long. So again, ants rely on spiracles to collect oxygen, which is sufficient for their small size. However, if scaled up to human size, the ant spiracles would not provide enough oxygen, leading to suffocation. So, you know what, this should have been a longer episode, I know, and the species are many, almost as many as there are these podcast episodes to come. I'm joking, even if I live until the end of the universe, I don't think I would be able to produce that much. So next week, I'll be exploring the astronomical genius of Vincas. So please, stay tuned. And folks, stay selective. Bye for now.